Well, it is the beginning of turn 9, but I think we're going to call the game in favor of the Allies. We'll do a quick little wrap-up video here to talk about sort of what went wrong for the Axis and all that. But basically, I think the writing's on the wall that both Germany and Italy are shrinking. Russia is far too powerful and will be gaining back quite a bit of its territory momentarily. I mean, basically, Novosibirsk is ready to fall probably next turn. They'll be driving into Poland, and basically the net is closing in on Germany. Yes, they were able to fend off quite a bit of the stuff from the shore, but again, the Americans are coming with force, and I can trace back the exact moment that Germany probably lost the game is when they left the UK undefended for Canada to come in and pick it up. Unfortunately, that's what happened. So the Germans basically their time is numbered, or their days are numbered at this point. The minor Axis are completely out of the game with really no chance of getting back into it. Neither the Germans nor the Italians can get into Romania anytime soon. The Finns are starting to have the noose tightened around them as well, with the Canadians landing in Norway and then Sweden becoming pro-Allied. It's only a matter of time before that gets activated by somebody. If not the Canadians next turn, then the Russians in a couple of turns, and they'll take Finland, and that'll be it. South Africa is a real power. Basically, the plan was to build a factory here. I mean, even if this got liberated by the Italians, which it probably would, still build a factory there and see how much damage they could do. But it's too... the Europe situation is too untenable for the Axis. Japan was holding its own in the Pacific, but again, it squandered its early advantages as well. Again, it looks like the Burma Road is never going to be closed, so the Chinese will always have money. And the British and their allied forces were managing to give the Japanese a real run for their money on the mainland, and again, beginning to reinforce the money islands, so that even if Japan wanted to come into some of them with some forces, again, you've got to pick your poison, and you've got to actually fight rather than just walking in, because there's 2 units on each one of the money islands. I was thinking if I continued the turn that I might attack this navy here, but that would just leave this navy out of position. The Americans are getting their act together again in the Pacific and will probably be ready to start coming forward at some point. There's still a fairly substantial navy around Sea Zone 6 that can do some damage, but again, the Russians are able to start moving east again and divide their forces because they have a fair bit of money. It just wasn't really looking good for the Axis. Again, Japan was holding its own, but I think it was only a matter of time. This particular homebrew version of the game does skew a little bit in favor of the Allies because there are no national objectives, so it's all just territory. So eventually economics will out, and if you don't take advantage of the things that you can take advantage of early as the Axis, we did have a great start with the Axis with the taking of the UK, but we failed to capitalize on that in any really meaningful way, which was unfortunate. But it was a fun game. It's an interesting variant. I like having, the Dutch and certainly the South Africans, which really played a major factor in this game, to be perfectly honest. The South Africans did a lot of good work in Europe. And of course, it's always fun to put the Canadians in because, Sergeant Mercy is Canadian, so we're pretty happy to get those guys going around the board too. So that was a lot of fun. But it was a really, really interesting game to play. I like this setup. I think it's really fun, but it is probably skewed a little bit towards the Allies, unless the Axis play absolutely perfectly for the first few rounds of the game, which they certainly didn't. And again, that's my fault, obviously, because I'm the controller of both sides. But what are you going to do? Anyway, it was a lot of fun to play, and we'll wrap it up. I'll see if I can do another set of videos sometime soon. But this was a lot of fun. It was a good game. It was an interesting game, but I think we're going to put away the map for a little bit and take a little bit of an Axis and Allies break. So, thanks for watching, and this is Sergeant Mercy signing off.